Hello future officers, welcome to another session of Environment and Ecology. Now in today's session we will be discussing very important and those topics which are relevant from the upcoming UPSC Prelims 2024. Today we will be discussing environmental issues. So first things first, triple planetary crisis. Now what do you mean by triple planetary crisis? अलग से UPSC में one question can be framed. Which of the following are considered as triple planetary crisis? सबसे पहले we should understand कि what do you mean by triple planetary crisis? So these refers to three main interlinked issues that humanity currently faces, and all of these are interlinked. For example, we consider climate change, it is interlinked with pollution, and pollution it is interlinked with biodiversity loss. Please remember these three names: climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. These are considered as triple planetary crisis, and they have been mentioned time and again in different environmental reports. Next, and very important, in fact this is from today's newspaper itself, which is the first state in India to declare human wildlife conflict as state specific disaster. This is again an environmental issue. Now this is the state of Kerala. Kerala has become the first state in our country to declare human wildlife conflict as a state specific disaster. Earlier also there have been instances where some states have declared snake bite. For example, in 2015, Odisha, it had declared snake bite as a state specific disaster. And back in 2020, Kerala declared COVID as state specific disaster. So exams के perspective से याद रखिएगा that Kerala is the first state to declare human wildlife conflict as specific disaster. Moving further, short-lived halogens. Now short-lived halogens, they were there in news because of their cooling effect. So as per a study, oceans they cool planet. And how do oceans cool planet? By releasing short-lived halogens such as chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So this is related to the topic that is warming and cooling of our planet and how oceans contribute to the same. Currently these halogens they contribute about 8 to 10% of the cooling, but do not make mistake, some of these halogens they also contribute to the global warming also. Short-lived halogens which have a lifetime of less than 6 months in the atmosphere, they are naturally produced by oceans. एक चीज हमें ये पता लगा that short-lived halogens they are naturally produced by oceans. That is first thing. Second, they mainly contribute to the cooling of our environment. Thirdly, they have lifetime of less than 6 months. सभी नाम है short-lived halogens and their example include chlorine, bromine, and iodine. However, you should also note that they influence Earth climate by contributing to both cooling as well as warming. So do not make mistake on this part. They also contribute to the warming effects. For example, short-lived halogens they increase methane's lifetime in the atmosphere. How do they do that? They do by destroying the hydroxyl radicals. So need not go into the chemistry of what happens. Simply you need to remember that they contribute both to the cooling as well as warming of our planet. I hope this is clear. Moving further, Mysteria Swms. Now Mysteria Swms, why were they in news and where are they found? Let us see. These are the images of Mysteria Swms. Climate change and human intervention are threatening the Mysteria Swms of Kerala. They are from the state of Kerala. In fact, you would find them in the sacred groves. Kerala. Now they are also known as live fossils. It's important. A biodiversity hotspot which is dominated by evergreen trees. So please remember that this region we have evergreen trees belong to Mysteria family, one of the oldest flowering plants on the earth. यहाँ पे दो चीजें अभी तक पता लगी हैं. Mysteria Swms, they are under threat because of human intervention, climate change. Second, they have been found they are there in the state of Kerala. Then you should also note that they are called living fossils and they are dominated by evergreen trees. They are found in the sacred groves of Kerala. Thus, you should also note that they are characterized by trees with large protruding roots which come out of the waterlogged soils, and they remain inundated throughout the year. बहुत simple है. Swamp का मतलब ही वही है, right? Marshy conditions. Thereafter, very important topic, that is Brazzaville Summit or Three Basins Summit 2023. अलग से क्वेश्चन फ्रेम हो सकता है. The term or the summit, Three Basin Summit, recently seen in news, is related to which of the following? या फिर Brazzaville Summit is related to which of the following? So you should be aware that this is a summit in three basins of Amazon, Congo and Borneo Mekong, Southeast Asia, and this was attended by number of delegates. And if we consider these three basins, then they account for about 3/4 of the entire global biodiversity, and about 80% of the world's forest cover is in these three basins, is in Congo and Borneo, Mekong, Southeast Asia. Remember this thing. Then you should also be aware about all these basins. For example, Amazon Basin, Congo Basin, and the third one. Now, which countries are part of these basins? This one should be aware of. Starting with Amazon Basin, you have Amazon River which flows into the Atlantic Ocean. So it extends from Andes Mountains in Peru to the northeastern coast of Brazil, and then the river it empties into the Atlantic Ocean. First thing first, it drains into the Atlantic Ocean. Second, and very important, which countries are included as a part of Amazon Basin? So it basically includes Bolivia. It also includes, of course, Brazil is there. Then we have Ecuador, Guyana, right? Peru, Suriname, and Venezuela. These are the countries which are included as a part of Amazon Basin. So you should be aware of these countries as well. Moving further, very important, Congo Basin. Here you can see the Republic of Congo. Here is the name Brazzaville. You have paid attention, Brazzaville Summit की ही बात की थी. So it is the world's second largest river basin, next that of Amazon. So Amazon is the largest river basin. Second in line is Congo Basin, and it includes Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. Then we have Central African Republic, Western Zambia, Northern Angola, and parts of Cameroon and Tanzania. Now you should also pay close attention to the PYQs which were asked. Like last year 2023, there were 2 questions which were pertaining to this particular geographical region of Congo. Questions included about 3/4 of world's cobalt is produced by which of the following countries. Now this was first question back in 2023. और इसी से मिलता जुलता क्वेश्चन उसी साल 2023 में ही क्या पूछा था? Which one of the following is part of Congo Basin? That means we should be properly aware which of the countries are included as a part of Congo Basin. Now for this year, for prelims 2024, Amazon Basin is very important. It has been in news for lot of reasons. I hope this is clear. Then Brazzaville Declaration back in 2018. It was there in order to protect QVT central region of Congo Basin. Now you should remember this particular name, and it is the world's largest tropical peatland. So this is important. Peatlands, they contribute mainly to the carbon storage and carbon sequestration from unregulated land use and prevents its drainage and degradation. So Brazzaville Declaration back in 2018. So Democratic Republic of Congo, that is DRC, and Republic of Congo. तो हमेशा याद रखिएगा, these are two separate countries. Do not get confused. And Indonesia. So Democratic Republic of Congo, then we have Republic of Congo and Indonesia. They have jointly signed this Brazzaville Declaration in order to promote better management and conservation of this important carbon store. The name of that carbon store. Then we have the third basin, that is Borneo Mekong, Southeast Asia Basin. And this is the world's third largest carbon sink, and it is composed of two subregions, that is the island of Borneo and the Mekong River. अब यहाँ पे दो geographical areas की बात की है, that is island of Borneo and then we have Mekong River. So you should be aware कि Mekong River crosses through how many countries. Mekong Cooperation के ऊपर a question has been asked back in 2015 also. So Mekong River, it crosses China, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia and Vietnam. And Borneo, it is the fourth largest island in the world, and it is divided between Brunei, Malaysia and Indonesia. So here you can see this particular region. I hope this is clear कि सिर्फ आपको current affairs पढ़ते नहीं जाना. You should also be aware a bit about their background, as well as you should be aware how UPSC is asking questions. Right. For this particular year, Amazon River is a lot in news because of deforestation, and a probable question for this year is Pelham Declaration. Pelham Declaration is related to which of the following? So this is related to South American countries coming together in order to save the Amazon from deforestation and its harmful effects. Moving further, there was a positive news that India surpassed Montreal Protocol targets. You should be aware Montreal Protocol is related to ozone depletion. So India has surpassed its Montreal Protocol targets as per a report by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Now, India has achieved a significant 33% reduction in emission intensity of the economy in 2019, and it surpassed the target which was set for 2030. Now, you should remember this particular fact for your prelims. India has achieved 44% against a phase out target of 35%. So target kitna tha? 35%. But India has overachieved. So India has achieved 44% against a phase out target of 35% of production and consumption of HCFCs. Now what are HCFCs? Hydrochlorofluorocarbons. So you should remember that these are not considered as ozone depleting, but they have greater global warming potential. So एक probable question frame किया जा सकता from the concept of HCFCs, because they do not directly impact the ozone. And now India has proactively taken अब the challenge to phase out HFCFC 141B, and where it is used or utilized is used as a blowing agent in the production of rigid polyurethane foam by 2020. So application कहाँ पे है? This you should be also keep in mind. Why I am saying so? Because in year 2023 itself, last year, question was consider the following aerosols, foam agent, fire retardants and lubricants. So in making of how many of the above are hydrofluorocarbons used? So utilization part. I hope this is clear. And very simple and very basic questions are also asked. Like 2015 mein question was asked, which of the following is associated with issue of control and phasing out of ozone depleting substance. तो बहुत direct questions भी पूछे जाते हैं. I hope this is clear. Thereafter, COP28 of UNFCCC was lot in news, and where it was held? It was held in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Now Azerbaijan and Brazil, they would host COP29 in 2024 and COP30 in 2025 respectively. Now let us see what were the key outcomes of COP28. First things first, there was mention of L&D, that is loss and damage fund. So they operationalized loss and damage fund. Now please comment down when this concept of loss and damage fund introduced. What was the COP? So loss and damage, it refers to the negative consequences which arise from the unavoidable risk of climate change, like rising sea levels, heat waves, crop failures, etc. नाम से ही clear होना चाहिए. Loss and damage, of course, there would be there because of climate change and its negative impacts. Then very important, the summit, it has concluded an agreement which is known as GST. This GST is nothing to do with our GST, but this is global stock take, which educates for shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Now you should also know a bit of a background, that is in Paris Agreement, there were targets being set that we have to limit the global warming by 2 degrees Celsius or preferably by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now if the countries are meeting their targets or not, so should be aware about global stock take. Then there was mention of tripling the global installed capacity for renewable energy. So renewable energy को triple करने की बात की थी, and doubling the annual improvements in energy efficiency. Energy efficiency twice and renewable energy capacity should be tripled. And then there was launch of COP28 gender responsive just transitions and climate action partnership. I hope this is clear. First was operationalization of loss and damage fund. Second, it talked about GST, global stock take. Thirdly, tripling of renewable energy and doubling energy efficiency. Now this was criticism also that how it would be achieved. Then what were the initiatives which were led by India at COP28? Let us have a look. First and foremost, Global River Cities Alliance. Now it aims to foster sustainable development of river cities. अब यहाँ से क्वेश्चन क्या फ्रेम हो सकता है? Which of the following are members of Global River Cities? Comment down which are the countries which are a member or part to Global River Cities Alliance. Then Green Credit Initiative. Now, Green Credit Initiative, what it basically does, it incentivizes voluntary environmental actions of various stakeholders. And lastly, India co-launched the LEAD IT 2.0, that is Leadership Group for Industry Transition. Thereafter, very important and a bit of negative news came that we had dry spells in Western Himalayas. And you may be seeing some of the images also. That this is image of 2023, Gulmarg, Kashmir region. And when we have a dry spell, so there was delayed snowfall. What were the reasons for that? So snowfall in Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir region has been showing a declining trend in recent years. So what are the reasons for that? Reasons हमें अच्छे से पता होना चाहिए. If you know the basic of geography, western disturbances, they are very important for the winter precipitation. In the lower part, it leads to rainfall, which is important for rabi crops, and the northern branch of the western disturbance, it is important for precipitation in solid form, these particular regions. First, the overall decreasing trend of snowfall, it is attributed to decline in western disturbance events. First reason. Then we see global rise in temperatures, which involves role of course climate change. Start ही किया अपना session by discussing triple planetary crisis. These all are interrelated: climate change, pollution, and biodiversity. And then thirdly, the prevailing El Nino event in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, it might be the additional factor to account for this particular year. El Nino से क्वेश्चन कैसे पूछा जाता है? यहाँ पे आपको ईस्टर्न की जगह वेस्टर्न पैसिफिक ओशन they can give. And snowfall in Kashmir is not just important for tourism attraction, it is very important or very crucial for local climate, winter crops, very important, in horticulture. Availability of water is at stake. Streams and rivers, and for the local economy. So this is a classic example of how a geographical phenomena or geophysical phenomena can badly impact the entire economy of a particular region if it is hampered. Moving further, very important concept of cloud seeding. Artificial rain के बारे में आपने सुना होगा. तो IIT Kanpur, it has proposed for artificial rain in Delhi NCR region. And why artificial rain it was talked about? So as to reduce the impact of air pollution. In order to address air pollution, there were talks of artificial rain through cloud seeding. Now what is the mechanism? Or prelims में यहाँ से how questions can be framed. First things first, you should know a basic about cloud seeding. So this is weather modification technology, and it can create rain in drought affected areas and also help in fighting air pollution. Now artificial rain, it can be induced by introducing chemicals like, यहाँ से prelims में question can be framed. Which of the following are used or can be used for creating artificial rain? और आपको 3-4 option दिए जा सकते हैं. First and foremost is silver iodide, then potassium iodide, ice, right, and dry ice. अभी dry ice news में भी बनी हुई है, of course for the wrong reasons, that in one of the restaurants it is alleged that it was served. So dry ice into the sky using airplanes and helicopters. तो ये नाम आप याद रखिएगा for your prelims. Then condensation nuclei. So these particles, what they basically do, they serve as condensation nuclei around which water droplets they can grow, and then it can lead to, of course, rainfall. So hygroscopic cloud seeding can be there, and then there can be glycogenic cloud seeding as well. सबका purpose है was to create artificial rainfall. And one more thing you should remember, it is not only because of helicopters or aeroplanes through which these particles can be sent. On the ground itself, एक तरीका तो हो गया कि aeroplane या helicopter से from the sky we are inducing these particular chemicals. अदर मेथड कैन बी, आप ग्राउंड से भी इन सबको कैन इंट्रोड्यूस दीज chemicals from the ground itself, one from the air and one from the base or ground. Moving further, then there was a mention of sky glow. What do you mean by sky glow? Sky glow was in news because of again pollution, but किस type का pollution? It is talking about light pollution, and light pollution also has 4 different components, and one of them is sky glow. Let us see. So recently there was a study which has found that non-natural light, it has increased the sky glow by 9.2% every year between 2011 and 22. So for understanding sky glow, you should also understand the other components of light pollution. These includes glare, sky glow, light trespass and clutter. First, glare, आपने सुना होगा glare के बारे में. So it is excessive brightness that causes visual discomfort. Second, sky glow that we are talking about. So sky glow is brightening of the night sky over inhabited areas. It has severe consequences also. We will be discussing that also. Then third component of light pollution is light trespass. That means light falling where it is not intended or needed. शब्द से भी समझ सकते हैं. Trespassing मतलब it is not permitted. Clutter, that is bright, confusing and excessive groupings of light source. So these are the components of light pollution. Now what are the implications of sky glow? Implications पे भी UPSC कई बार क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं. First and foremost, if there is excessive light, so it is wastage of energy, it is wastage of money. और उस light को generate करने के लिए of course lot of fossils are burned, so it would lead to global warming also. Energy का wastage is there. Then disruption of ecosystems and wildlife. Now consider those animals, especially nocturnal animals. So for nocturnal animals in particular, this sky glow, or for that matter light pollution, is very devastating because it can hamper their eating patterns, it can hamper their sleep cycle, it can also hamper their reproduction. Then human health is also harmed. Why human health, or how human health is harmed? Because we follow circadian rhythm, that is a biological clock. So our biological clock, that is sleep wake pattern, is governed by day night cycle. और artificial जब light होती है, so it can disturb that. That is why it is advised if from examination, exam say at least 1 week before, you set your biological sleep wake pattern in rhythm, ताकि एग्जाम वाले दिन आपको डिस्टर्बेंस ना हो. I hope the concept of sky glow is clear. Moving further, there was mention of plastigomorate. What do you mean by plastigomorate? Plastigomorate, here you can see this is a rock and we have plastic also. So plastic rock hybrid, it was discovered in India for the very first time. आप पढ़ते हैं रॉक्स के बारे में, तो रॉक्स आप पढ़ते हैं सेडिमेंट्री, इग्नियस, मेटामॉर्फिक, बट अभी प्लास्टिक रॉक्स भी is there in news, and it is form of plastic pollution as described by scientists in 2014. So it is basically a rock which is composed of sand, rock fragments, shells and other materials which are held together by plastics, and it results into plastic rock hybrid. And where it was discovered? Now this location becomes important from our exam perspective. It was discovered on beach of on AES Island. Where are AES Island? So these are in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. और AES Island एक और वजह से भी न्यूज में थे, that it is now promoting tourism. We will see that news also. So I hope this is clear. Plastigomorate, it was first time rock plastic hybrid discovered in India. and plastic which accumulates in oceans and on beaches, they have actually turned into global crisis. So this is a classic example of triple planetary crisis. Pollution की वजह से how it is threatening our biodiversity, because thousands of seabirds, sea turtles, seals and other marine mammals, they get killed each year. Either they can ingest this plastic or they can get entangled. Then we have plastic rocks. These plastic rocks, scientists, they were surprised to find them in Brazil. And why scientists were more surprised to find them in Brazil? Because they have discovered this in the island of Trinidad. Plastic rocks, they were found in Trinidad Island. Please remember this name, Trinidad Island, Brazil. So basically the melted plastic, they have become intertwined with the rocks. And why it was surprising? It was surprising because these plastic rocks, they were discovered 1140 kilometers from the southeastern state of Espírito Santo. Now this is here people do not live except for the Brazilian Navy, right, which is involved in the conservation of green turtles. So it is evidence of humans growing influence over Earth's geological cycle. आपने पढ़ा होगा about Anthropocene era or epoch has arrived, and this is classic example of the same. Now Trinidad Island, it is an important conservation spot for green turtles. And thousands of them, they arrive each year for laying their eggs. Only human inhabitants on this particular island of Trinidad are the members of Brazilian Navy, which maintains a base and protects nesting turtles. Then talking about AES Island, or AES Island is situated near Maya Bandar town in Andaman and Nicobar. Why it was in news? First, plastic rocks, plastic agglomerate was found, and then there was another news. In order to boost tourism in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the UT administration has decided to open up uninhabited AES Island in North and Middle Andaman district for the travelers. Tourism promotion के लिए AES Island. So please remember, Andaman or Nicobar Islands may be, they are in the North and Middle Andaman districts. So here you can see Maya Bandar town, and these are often referred as Coconut Island due to lush green coconut plantation. I hope this is clear, and you would remember Trinidad Island from Brazil and AES Island from India. Then talking about plastic pollution, there was a report, Turning off the tap, how the world can end plastic pollution and create a circular economy. This was a report. UPSC में at times reports are directly asked, which of the following organizations releases this particular report. So it was released by, as you can see, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. Please remember this report also. Then talking about plastic pollution, plastic overshoot day. What do you mean by overshoot? आपने पढ़ा होगा environment ecology के अंदर carrying capacity, ecological carrying capacity. वहाँ से deduce कर सकते हैं plastic overshoot के बारे में. So recently Earth has witnessed plastic overshoot day on 28 July 2023. And this was plastic overshoot day report. It was released by a Swiss-based research consultant known as Earth Action. Now, what do you mean by actually plastic overshoot day? So this marks the point in year, ऐसा समय जब the amount of plastic which is generated, it exceeds global waste management capacity. जितना जनरेट कर रहे हैं और जितना उसको ट्रीट कर पा रहे हैं, उसमें मिसमैच आ जा रहा है. So when amount of plastic waste generated exceeds global waste management capacity, then it is plastic overshoot. And as per the report which was released by US-based research consultancy Earth Action, 12 countries, they were responsible for around 52% of world's mismanaged plastic waste. सिर्फ 12 कंट्री जो हैं 50% से भी ज़्यादा mismanaged plastic waste के लिए जिम्मेदार है as per this particular report. And which are those countries? Unfortunately, our India is one of them. As per the report, India, China, Brazil, Indonesia, Thailand, Russia, Mexico, US, Saudi Arabia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Iran and Kazakhstan. These are the 12 countries. Then based on the country's mismanaged waste index, mismanaged waste index, that is ratio of mismanaged waste and the total waste. इसके basis पे अगर हम बात करें, now India ranks 4th in MWI with 98.55% of generated waste. And if we talk about global level plastic consumption on per person basis globally, so you would be surprised to know which is that country. Please comment down which is that country which is considered the worst offender. यहाँ पे plastic per person का use is maximum in the world. That is Iceland. So global average consumption of plastic per person per year is 20.9 kg and world's worst offender is Iceland. और वहाँ पे annual consumption is 128.9 kg, करीब 130 किलोग्राम per person. This is 24.3 times higher than that of yearly consumption per person. अगर इंडिया की बात करें is around 5.3 kg. तो global average से we are generating less or we are consuming less. I hope this is clear. Moving further, there was mention of PET 46 or PET 46. What is this 46 all about? So researchers, they have discovered a deep sea enzyme PET 46 is capable of continuously breaking down PET plastics commonly found in plastic bottles. आपने plastic bottles देखी होंगी. This is polyethylene terephthalate. So PET plastic or polyethylene terephthalate is a common type of plastic which is used to make bottles, containers, synthetic fibers, etc. And it is known for its transparency, lightweight nature and recyclability. And PET, you should be aware, it is used for packaging beverages, food and personal care products. Use or application. One area where UPSC focus. Second area where UPSC focus are the consequences of a particular event. Like in the previous session we had discussed consequences of decline in insect or butterfly population, ecological Armageddon. And we will be discussing more such consequences with the help of PYQs. Then PET 46, it has a unique property such as ability to degrade long chain and short chain PET molecules. They are useful for biotechnology applications. Hope this is clear. When Hjan oil leak was in news, this is not something which is of a recent origin. In fact, this is considered one of the longest oil spills or oil disasters of our country, and this has taken place in the state of Assam. And NGT, that is National Green Tribunal, it has ordered Assam government so as to disperse interim compensation to victims of Hjan oil and gas leak that has displaced close to 9,000 people year 2020 in Assam. This was there in news. Now you should also be aware why this is a matter of great environmental concern. Reason is this oil well, it lies very near to Hebrew Chikova National Park and Maguri Motapung wetland. Please remember these names as well. Oil spill in itself is an environmental issue. और वो सोचिए अगर oil spill किसी national park या wetland के पास में हो, it becomes all the more devastating. And it is considered as longest running oil spill in our country. Now, from prelims perspective, you should be aware that which authority is responsible for oil spills in Indian water, for managing or coordinating. So it is Indian Coast Guard. So Indian Coast Guard, it functions as central coordinating authority for response to oil spills in Indian waters. Remember this as well. Then SCP. SCP is spheroidal carbonaceous particles. They were there in news. Why? What are these? Why were they in? First things first, they were there in news because of Antarctic ice के अंदर for the very first time fly ash का component has been found. Now Antarctic ice, just imagine that it is mostly in uninhabited area. वहाँ पे भी आपको fly ash का content देखने को. Again a cause of concern, and this SCP, that is spheroidal carbonaceous particles, is a component of fly ash and it was discovered for the first time in Antarctic ice core. The issue क्या है? Issue is it would aggravate global warming. SCPs, they have no other anthropogenic or natural sources other than fossil fuel consumption. उनका जो only source is fossil fuel consumption. Thus, they are an unambiguous environmental indicator of industrialization. And you should also be aware about fly ash. I hope this is clear. This news has been clear to us. The Antarctic ice core में for the very first time SCP was found, and SCP is component of fly ash. Now let us discuss what do you mean by fly ash. Fly ash basically is a fine powder which is produced as byproduct of coal combustion in thermal power stations. Or fly ash के what are the different components? One should be aware about these. So it has significant amount of silica, aluminium, calcium oxides, as well as trace concentration of arsenic, boron, chromium, lead, etc. And this fly ash is a cause of concern. Why this is a cause of concern? Because this can impact photosynthesis. Fly ash राख की तरह, right? तो अगर वो जो राख है, if that fly ash, if it settles on leaf, so photosynthesis के लिए area it would get reduced, and because of this what would happen? Crop yields, they would go down. Now fly ash is utilized also. Fly ash से we are making bricks, and in Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban it has focused on new construction technologies which would use fly ash bricks which are environmental friendly. And you should always have an eye upon the PYQs. पढ़ने को तो there is lot of information. So what to focus, what to not. Our best guide or friend is PYQs. Back in 2015, what was asked? Reference to fly ash produced in power plants using coal as fuel. Which of these are correct? वहाँ पे आपको दिया हुआ था fly ash made up of silicon dioxide and calcium oxide only and does not contain any toxic. So components one should be aware of. Thereafter, there was also mention of green crackers. Green crackers made headlines because Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court has banned crackers. Honorable Supreme Court has clarified that the order its order banning barium and other banned chemicals in firecrackers, they applies to the entire country, not just to Delhi NCR region. Prelims के लिए what becomes important, let us focus on that particular issue. What are green crackers? Crackers that are less dangerous, of course, less harmful than conventional chemicals which are used. Now they are developed by CIER, that is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Environmental Engineering Research Institute. And very important from prelims perspective are the organizations. Production after it's approved by PESO, that is Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization. So please remember this particular organization as well. I hope this is clear. So they are considered as green because they have chemical formulation that produces water molecules. And when it would be there, it would substantially reduce emission levels and absorbs dust. So it is basically a light and sound show and produces lower emission. यही मकसद है green crackers का, of course. Please remember this, CSIR NERI, and it has actually defined green crackers as firecrackers with reduced shell size, without ash, and or with additives such as dust suppressions to reduced emissions with specific reference to particulate matter. Of course, जब dust को control किया जाएगा, particulate matter obviously controlled, lessening the air pollution. And these crackers come without barium compounds, through which the crackers they get their green color. This is a metal oxide that contributes to air and noise pollution. Now basically there are three type of green cracker. In fact एक अलग से question पूछा जा सकता है. The terms Swas, Suffle and Star recently seen in news are related to which of the following? और आपको कुछ भी option बना के दिया जा सकता है. So Swas, that is safe water releaser, Star, that is safe thermite cracker, and Suffle, that is safe minimal aluminium. These are type of green crackers. Remember these terms. I hope this is clear. Moving further, there was mention of ice melt in West Antarctica. So यहाँ पे कुछ places हैं that one should remember for our examination. First is Thewaites Glacier. Thewaites Glacier, as you can see, this is in the West Antarctic ice sheet, and it is melting. The cause of concern because it can lead to increase in sea level. Thus, Weddell Sea, where is Weddell Sea? There is Amundsen, Ross Sea. Which of the following are MPAs, that is marine protected areas, is comment down? Is Ross Sea and Weddell Sea considered marine protected area? Yes or not? Okay, coming back to our sea melt in West Antarctica. So there is rapid melting of West Antarctica's ice sheet because of warm waters around it, and it is now unavoidable no much how carbon emissions we cut off. And if it is lost, ice sheet would raise the global mean sea level by 5.3 meters or more than 17 feet. What is ice sheet? Ice sheet का मतलब ही क्या होता है? So ice sheet is essentially a mass of glacial ice, but that does not end over here. The mass of glacial ice that covers more than 50,000 square kilometers of land. Remember this, more than 50,000 square kilometers of land, and it is roughly large enough to blanket our entire Uttarakhand state. And in world there are two major ice sheets, which are Greenland and of course Antarctica, and together they contain about 2/3 of entire fresh water which is present on our earth. तो प्रीलिम्स के लिए याद रखिएगा, दिस नेम डिवाइड्स ग्लेशियर. मूविंग फर्दर, talking about GRAP, that is Graded Response Action Plan. Now what is this GRAP all about? This GRAP is kind of emergency measures which are kicked in when there is pollution in Delhi NCR region. So Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas, AQM, has announced revision in the existing GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan. नाम से क्लियर होना चाहिए, Response Action Plan. किसके अगेंस्ट Response Action Plan? Against the air pollution. So GRAP is basically a set of emergency measures that kick in order to prevent further deterioration of air quality once it reaches a certain threshold in Delhi NCR region. Now you should know that it was approved by Honorable Supreme Court back in 2016 in the matter of MC Mehta versus Union of India 2016, notified in year 2017. I hope this is clear up till now. And from 2021 onwards, if we talk about its implementation part, GRAP is being implemented by CAQM, Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining regions or areas. For 2020 tak, Supreme Court has appointed a body which was EPCA, that is Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority. It order states to implement GRAP measures. But 2021 se GRAP is being implemented by CAQM. And EPCA, it was dissolved and replaced by AQM 2020. I hope this is clear. GRAP, emergency response measures against air pollution. It was notified back in 2017, or what was the matter? MC Mehta versus Union of India 2016, right? और GRAP को implement करने के लिए Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court has appointed a body which was known as EPA. Till 2020 it was there, but now it has been dissolved, and now for implementing GRAP we have QM. First statement है EQM, it has made some revisions. I hope this is clear. Then how questions are asked from air pollution? Which of the following are considered for calculating value of air quality index? आपको 5 गैसेस के नाम दिए हैं और इसमें से एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स को कैलकुलेट करने के लिए which of these is considered? याद कीजिए फ्लाई ऐश के क्वेश्चन में one option was fly ash consists of calcium oxide and there was another name, constituent. Similarly, air quality index, what are the constituent? I hope now you are getting how UPSC asks question. बहुत आसान था इसको सॉल्व करना. If you had known carbon dioxide is not used, so you could have eliminated that straight away. You could have arrived at the right answer. Talking about CQM, it has been set up for air quality management by now, you know, in National Capital Region adjoining area. So what were the revisions that were made? Why this was in news? So let us see the revisions. Stage 1, that is poor air quality. So AQI is basically a number. और जितना बड़ा वो number होगा, the more the value of that particular number, the greater would be the air pollution. So if that number is from 201 to 300, then is poor air quality. उस scenario में we need to enforce NGT or Honorable Supreme Court's order on overage diesel and petrol vehicles. Is there. Then if AQI is between 301 to 400, very poor air quality, stage 2. अब stage 2 होगा तो targeted actions to combat air pollution at identify hotspots. then the diesel generator sets they would be regulated. और अगर एयर क्वालिटी और भी खराब हो गई, स्टेज 3, that means severe air quality is there from 401 to 500. So it is not very difficult to remember. 201 to 300, 301 to 400, 401 to 500. So that is severe, that is considered severe air quality. So impose strict restriction on BS3 petrol and BS4 diesel four-wheelers in certain areas, and there may be suspension of physical classes in school for primary grade children up to class 5th. So these are the revisions which were made by CAQM. Agar stage 4 is there, that is severe plus air quality, AQI is above 450, then what would be there? So it was 401 to 450. Then अगर 450 से भी ज़्यादा हो गया, that means four-wheelers which are registered Delhi except for electric vehicles, EV, CNG vehicles and BS6, we will be studying Bharat Standard 6 compliance, diesel vehicles and vehicles which of course would be carrying the essential commodities, they will not be allowed to enter the, because this is not severe, this is severe plus. AQI जो है वो 450 के भी पार चला गया है. So these revisions were done by CAQM. Hope this is clear. Now moving further, we had Swachh Vayu Survekshan which was conducted. Now Swachh Vayu Survekshan, it is an initiative of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in order to rank cities on the basis of implementation of activities were approved under City Action Plan and air quality in 131 NCAP cities. यहाँ पे अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा? We had studied about Swachh Vayu Survekshan. First things first, this is an initiative of Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. Second, it is on order to rank cities. और ranking किस आधार पे दी जाएगी? NCAP city. We will be studying this NCAP, National Clean Air Program. It was launched back in January 2019 and we had certain targets और वो targets को revise किया है. So do not worry, we will be studying all of this. Now in Swachh Survekshan, as per Swachh Vayu Survekshan 2023, Indore ranks first, followed by Agra and Thane. याद करना मुश्किल नहीं है, इंदौर जो है it tops when it comes to clean city. So what were the objective? Objective of course create awareness among all the citizens, to inform the citizens about the health impacts, comparing the air quality conditions at different locations, to achieve the goal of NCAP, clean air for all. So ये basic generic objectives हैं इसके, right? And what was the criteria for the Swachh Vayu Survekshan? Criteria, there were category 1, 2 and 3. So population, if it is over 10 lakh, then populations from 3 to 10 lakh and population under 3 lakh. So there were 3 different categories in order to rank the cities. Now talking about this NCAP. So climate trends and respiratory living sciences, they have conducted a study and it has revealed that majority of the cities are far from clean air targets of India's National Clean Air Program. This is common knowledge. Any Indian which resides in these particular areas, air pollution is very severe. It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change back in January 2019. Now comes the important part. What is the objective? What is the goal? तो prelims के लिए क्या important बन जाता है? Prelims के लिए these numbers, these data become important. Of course, for the mains also, because there you can mention these data. Anyways, so NCAP goal is to reduce average particulate matter, that is PM concentration by 40% by 2026 in 131 cities. And initially it aimed for 20 to 40% reduction by 2024. Now the target was later extended to 2026. पहले 2024 तक की बात की थी और 20 से 40% तक की बात की थी. Now 2026 by 40%. Then CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, in consonance with the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981, and in particular with provision section 16B of the act, execute the nationwide program for prevention, control and abatement of air pollution within the framework of NCAP. Prelims के लिए क्या important है? Prelims के लिए important है NCAP is an initiative या फिर it was launched by whom? It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. It is implemented by whom? They are different, right? So Central Pollution Control Board. Then you should also be aware about PRANA. Now PRANA is basically a portal for regulation of air pollution in non-attainment cities. The portal for monitoring implementation of NCAP. अब targets तो रख दिया है, goal रख दिया है that we need to reduce the particulate matter concentration. But who is going to monitor that? So for that we have PRANA. यहाँ पे अभी एक नया word आपने पढ़ा होगा, non-attainment cities. Please comment down what do you mean by non-attainment cities. Let me give you a hint. Non-attainment cities are those which have not achieved the goal or target of NCAP for the last 5 years. Is this true? Is this false? या फिर वहां पे हम बात करेंगे NAAQ की. Please comment down what do you mean by non-attainment cities. यहाँ से अलग से question can be framed. Moving further, then there was a report striving for clean air, air pollution and public health in South Asia. अब एक क्वेश्चन फ्रेम किया जा सकता है that this report has been released by whom? Here you can see this report has been released by World Bank Group. And South Asia, as per this particular report, South Asia is home to 9 of the world's 10 cities with the worst air pollution. यहाँ पे do not get confused that this report, अब वो रिपोर्ट अगर ये पूछी गई तो एक ऑप्शन जरूर आपको देखने को मिल जाएगा, that is WHO. But the answer would be World Bank Group. So concentrations of fine particulate matter PM2.5 in some of the regions of most densely populated and poor areas, they were found up to 20% higher than what WHO considers healthy. WHO considered 5 micrograms per cubic meter to be healthy. That is why I have mentioned, do not get confused by WHO. Reason is 2022 में ही आपसे पूछा था WHO एयर क्वालिटी गाइडलाइंस के बारे में. वहां पे आपसे डेटा हैज बीन डायरेक्टली आस्क्ड. दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव मेंशन कि NCAP का जो डेटा है इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. Thereafter you should also know air pollution और उसका impact. अब सभी को पता है एयर pollution की वजह से we can have respiratory illness, but you should also be aware that black carbon and co-pollutants, tropospheric ozone is considered a secondary pollutant. याद रखिएगा that ozone में भी tropospheric ozone is a harmful air pollutant. And why this is considered harmful air pollutant? One of the reasons is because ozone, it reduces plants' ability to sequester carbon. It's important. Ozone जो है it would disturb or it would hinder the plants' ability. Plants अगर कार्बन को sequester ही नहीं कर पाए, obviously this is a great challenge for our planet. So there would be reduced crop production, there would be reduced quality and nutritive value of food and feed. This is all because of air pollution. Please remember this fact. Thereafter, there are certain reports which are in news and you might get confused if these are asked. Like a question is asked emissions gap report, please pay proper attention. और अगर एक रिपोर्ट पूछ लिया जाए कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस, नाउ दीज आर रिलीज्ड बाय whom? जैसे ही आप बहुत बार पढ़ते हैं एमिशंस गैप रिपोर्ट और यूएनईपी, व्हाट वी रीड एमिशंस गैप रिपोर्ट यूएनईपी, वहां पे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाएगा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशन रिपोर्ट, तो वहां पे भी यूएनईपी का ऑप्शन होगा और जल्दी जल्दी में हम गलत मार्क कर सकते हैं। तो याद रखिएगा एमिशंस गैप रिपोर्ट के लिए इट इज यस यूएनईपी 2, बट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस रिपोर्ट अगर आपसे पूछा then it is not UNDP or UNEP, rather it is IEA, that is International Energy Agency. याद रखिए। Right. Then talking about BS emission standard, as भारत स्टेज स्टैंडर्ड, एयर पोल्यूशन की ही बात चल रही है, राइट? हमने देखा था रिविजन्स, सीवियर कैटेगरी, सीवियर प्लस, there was mention of BS 6 also. So these are basically laid down by government so as to regulate output of air pollutants from internal combustion of our motor vehicles. और जितना ये नंबर कम होगा BS 4 और BS 6, obviously BS 6 is more stricter, BS 4 is less stricter, तो ज्यादा pollution होगा BS 4 की गाड़ियों से in comparison to BS 6. Then India has adopted this BS emission standard since 2000, and these are modeled on European Union norms. So like we have BS norms, they have their European Union norms. The first emission norms, they were named India 2000 because they were adopted since year 2000 and they were introduced that particular year. So BS 2 and BS 3, they were introduced in 2005 and 2010. So regularly there have been revisions. Now we have come up to BS 6. So पहले BS 2, BS 3 they were there. While BS 4 norms, they came into effect in 2017 with stricter emission standards. Of course BS 4 is ज़्यादा strict. Then BS standards, they regulate the tailpipe emissions of air pollutants which include obviously the particulate matter, the nitrogen and sulfur oxides, as well as carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons and methane. ये अलग से क्वेश्चन फ्रेम हो सकता है. रीजन इज दैट लास्ट ईयर आपको इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स के बारे में क्वेश्चन पूछा एंड देयर कंपैरिजन विद द कन्वेंशनल इंटरनल कंबस्शन इंजन. तो कंपोनेंट्स, अभी कंपोनेंट्स देखा फ्लाई ऐश का, एंड वन मोर कंपोनेंट वी हैड सीन. तो एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स में व्हाट वर द कंपोनेंट्स. सिमिलरली टेल पाइप एमिशंस में व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स. क्वेश्चन बहुत बेसिक भी पूछा जाता है. प्लीज रिमेंबर पार्टिकुलेट मैटर, sulfur and nitrous oxides, which are responsible mainly for acid rain. Then we have carbon monoxide. Now carbon monoxide is a toxic gas. Hydrocarbons and methane. Now what do they regulate? Obviously they would be regulating all the gases which we have just discussed now. And who is setting them? So they are set by Central Pollution Control Board under Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. Now we have actually leapfrogged from BS4 to BS6. We have directly jumped from BS4 to BS6 for fuel and vehicle since 2018 in National Capital Territory of Delhi, and from 1st April 2020 for rest of our country. Now BS6 emission standards are stricter. अब prelims के लिए this become important. A question can be asked: if sulfur is reduced from 50 parts per million ppm in BS4 fuel to 10 ppm in BS6 for both gasoline and diesel. तो ये numbers याद रखिएगा. 50 से reduce होके ये this is 10 ppm. this we are talking about sulfur. Please comment down, is there any mention of nitrogen emissions also? In nitrogen किस परसेंटेज से कहां तक रिड्यूस हुआ for sulfur? Then pet coke was in news. So Union government has permitted the import of pet coke for making graphite anode material for lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries, critical minerals, rare metals, they are there in news. Now needle cokes are used as a primary material for electrodes which are used in इलेक्ट्रिक स्टील फर्नेस. तो यूज कहां पे हो रहा है, कहां पे एप्लीकेशन है? जैसे हमने देखा था मॉन्ट्रियल प्रोटोकॉल में डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन वाज देयर, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग आर रिलेटेड टू डिप्लीशन ऑफ ओजोन. तो मॉन्ट्रियल प्रोटोकॉल सेकंड क्वेश्चन वाज कि हाइड्रोफ्लोरोकार्बन, राइट, हाइड्रोक्लोरोकार्बन दे आर यूज्ड, या उसका एप्लीकेशन कहां पे, फोम में है या कहां पे. सिमिलरली अगर आप पेट कोक के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं या नीडल कोक के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, का एप्लीकेशन कहां पे, दिस बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट. या उस पर्टिकुलर इंडस्ट्री से व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ एमिशंस आर एमिटेड. these are the areas where you need to focus specifically for your prelims. So these are used primarily for electrodes in electric steel furnace that melts and refine steel. I hope this is clear. And graphite, it is commonly used to serve as anode material, और उसी को भी परमिट किया है गवर्नमेंट ने. And it releases carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, mercury, arsenic, chromium, nickel and hydrogen chloride after burning. So at times UPSC has asked about the pollutants from a particular industry also. Do remember. And generally these are used as industry fuel by cement, steel, graphite, aluminium. Now aluminium, these all are what? These are hard to abate sector. Decarbonization is bit difficult for these sectors because these are highly energy intensive industries. Moving further, electronic waste. If we talk about e-waste, prelims के लिए क्या आपको पता होना चाहिए that India is the third largest e-waste producer after China and USA. That is one. And Indian Cellular and Electronics Association has released a report, Pathways to Circular Economy in Electronic Sector. So electronic waste or e-waste is a generic term. This generic term, it describes all types of old, end of life or discarded electric or electronic equipment such as our household appliances या फिर office information and communication equipment etc. Now this e-waste contains numerous toxic chemicals which include metals such as lead, cadmium, mercury and nickel. Back in 2013 there was a question क्या पूछा था? There were 7 different pollutants या फिर 7 different materials they were given. Which of the following are found in e-waste या electronic waste? So lot of names were there, बहुत बड़ी list थी, there were 7 of them and one of the option was plutonium. बाकी सब अजीब अजीब नाम थे for those who are from non science background. अगर आपने सिंपल फोकस किया होता कि प्लूटोनियम रेडियो एक्टिविटी से रिलेटेड या फिर न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी से रिलेटेड है, ऑफ कोर्स दे वोंट फाउंड इन ई-वेस्ट, सो यू कुड हैव एलिमिनेटेड दैट. दैट इज व्हाई अगेन एंड अगेन आई एम एम्फसाइजिंग कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में. एंड इंडिया इज करंटली रैंकिंग थर्ड among the largest generator of EV globally after US and China. Direct questions have been asked. Back in 2021, what was the question? R2 code of practices constitute a tool available for promoting the adoption of what? So if you know these questions, then you know these, otherwise they are very difficult to solve. Like greenwashing, what do you mean by the term greenwashing? Recently seen in news. Miyawaki technique, recently seen in news. Yeah, biorock technology, recently seen in news. These are the some of the most easiest as well as the most difficult question times. Easy इसलिए अगर आपने पढ़ा है straight away you can take. Else it becomes difficult. The exam scenario. Please comment down what do you mean by R2 code of practices. Moving further, endosulfan, now NGT, that is National Green Tribunal, has issued notice to Union government, Karnataka and Kerala governments for dumping endosulfan in the hilly areas of Minichin, Padavu in Kasargod district of Kerala. अब ये सब districts और ये नाम कभी नहीं पूछेंगे यूपीएससी में. You know the basic. First, what do you mean by endosulfan and what is the matter all about? First things first, this is an insecticide, used as an insecticide, organochlorine insect, which was first introduced back in 1950s and it is commonly known by its trade name Thiodan. Endosulfan ka trade name is Thiodan, that is one. Second, it has a lot of harmful impacts, not only on the environment but on human well-being also. And facts are neurotoxicity, physical deformities as well as mental deformities, poisoning and much more. And where it is sprayed, endosulfan का use कहाँ पे किया जाता है? Endosulfan is basically used on crops like cotton, cashew में mainly, right? Important. Cashew के लिए what soil is suitable? That is laterite soil. So cotton, cashew, fruits, tea, paddy, tobacco, etc. for controlling of pests like white flies, aphids, beetles, worms. Of course, this is insecticides. So these are the crops. If you remember that in cotton, what we have pink bollworm as a pest, which is native to India, right? And endosulfan, if you see, these are the physical deformities which are found. So endosulfan is listed under both Rotterdam Convention on PIC, that is prior informed consent, as well as it is listed under Stockholm Convention on POPs, that is persistent organic pollutants. Please remember this name, and it can be used separately as your case study in ethics, but उसके लिए बहुत समय है. वहां तक पहुंचने के लिए you need to clear of course the prelims. Then we talk about invasive alien species, right? So Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, that is IPBS, it has released assessment report on invasive alien species and their control. एक तो direct question आ सकता है, who has released this particular report? This is IPBS. First things first. Second, you should know about the concept of invasive aliens and some of the examples. So common examples, we'll be discussing those, but biological invasion is basically a process that transports and introduces a species outside its natural range, intentionally or unintentionally by human activities. और यूपीएससी ने लास्ट ईयर बहुत डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन पूछा था. ओनली इफ यू हैव स्टडीड दैट देन ओनली यू वुड बी इन अ पोजीशन टू सॉल्व दैट. 2023 में क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा था? इन्वेसिव स्पीशीज स्पेशलिस्ट ग्रुप that develops global invasive species database belongs to which of the following organizations? Is it IUCN, UNEP, right? या फिर WWF, and one more option is. So please focus on the reports. This is one time effort और उसमें of course constant revision is also required. हमने देखा था emissions gap report UNEP, but carbon dioxide emissions IEA. If we talk about some of the common invasive alien species, they include but are not restricted to water hyacinth, Lantana camera, red fox, red imported fire ant. So this was also in news because यूरोप के अंदर फर्स्ट टाइम दे हैव बीन सीन. देन mesquite, sea walnut, southern house mosquito, giant African land snail, sea vase, zebra mussel, this is important, Nile perch, again this is important, and a fungus also. So common names आपको पता होना चाहिए. Among these, zebra mussel, Nile perch, lantana, right, was the water hyacinth is important. It is often known as terror of Bengal. Thereafter, talking about coral reef breakthrough. So ICRI, that is International Coral Reef Initiative, it was launched. It has launched the Coral Reef Breakthrough in partnership with Global Fund for Coral Reefs and High Level Climate Champion. If we talk about this, it is a science-based initiative with clear goals for state and non-state actors to collectively conserve, protect and restore coral reefs, which are of course important for humanity. So basic generic statement मिलेगा आपको, but you should be aware which is the body which is involved. किन organizations का partnership is there, and it aims to secure future of at least 125,000 square kilometers of shallow water tropical coral reefs with investment of at least $12 billion US so as to support the resilience of more than 500 million people globally by 2030. Please remember this ICRI, and talking about ICRI, International Coral Reef Initiative. So this is informal partnership. Question कैसे frame किया जा सकता है? Question can be framed that this is a member of United Nations, or this is a NGO, or this is a formal agreement. Please pay attention to these particular words. So this is informal partnership between nations and organization, of course striving to conserve and protect corals. ICRI, it was launched at United Nations Global Conference on Sustainable Development on Small Island Developing Barbados, 1994. This line becomes important from prelims perspective. This particular initiative, it was launched when? So this is the answer. Now ICRI, it is a joint initiative of several countries in partnership with other coral reef nations, NGOs, international organizations, multilateral development banks, as well as private sector businesses. Then there was a term which was there in news, tropicalization or boralization. Tropicalization तो समझना बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है, but this is a impact of climate change. What is happening? As per a recent study, rising sea temperatures due to climate change are causing tropical marine species to move from equator towards the poles. This is mass movement of marine life. Of course, what would happen if, for example, कहीं का अगर temperature बढ़ा है, so the species they would be forced to migrate from equator towards poles. That is why the name tropicalization. कि temperate areas में भी now tropical species, tropical marine species are found. And this trend is observed in areas with strong currents. They are away from equator, and it is having consequences for ecosystem biodiversity, potential impact on the global economy as well. Socio-economic impacts, they vary by region. Very important, global fisheries, they would suffer, carbon storage as well as tourism. You must correlate your ocean currents wala topic of geography. Then boralization. Boralization means expansion of temperate species into Arctic polar regions. मतलब हो क्या रहा है अब? Equator से species they are migrating because of rising sea temperatures. This is again a cause of concern, one of the triple planetary crisis, climate change. Then sand mining, it was in news. In fact, this is there in news throughout the year. Fortunately, for all the wrong reasons. NGT, it has said that no river sand mining would be allowed without obtaining consent to establish or consent to operate from the concerned state pollution control. That is why it was in news. Now you should know, sand is the second most exploitative natural resource in the world after water. But this is generally ignored. This fact is important. Now, what are the environmental impacts of sand mining? These impacts one should be aware. There are a number of impacts of sand mining, like it would have impact on biodiversity. Why it would have an impact on biodiversity? Because it could be, for example, if you consider fisheries, they would be impacted, land loss, both inland as well as coastal, through erosion. So coastal erosion और ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा if sand mining is done. Because coast, they are the zone of both aggradation as well as degradation. Then hydrological function, water flows में change आएगा, flood regulation, marine currents. In water supply, there would be lowering of water table and pollution. कि आप सिर्फ sand को extract नहीं कर रहे, along with sand, what is coming out? Water is also coming out or moving out. So water footprint. For example, if you export sugar cane, सिर्फ शुगर केन एक्सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे, आप देश का जो वाटर है, वाटर फुटप्रिंट, दैट इज आल्सो गोइंग आउट. देन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऑफ कोर्स देयर वुड बी डैमेजेस टू द ब्रिजेस, रिवर एम्बैंकमेंट्स आर देयर एंड द कोस्टल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. क्लाइमेट वुड बी डायरेक्टली इंपैक्टेड. कि सैंड माइनिंग होगा, सैंड माइनिंग को ट्रांसपोर्ट किया जाएगा, देयर वुड बी लॉट ऑफ एमिशंस कॉल्ड, एंड इनडायरेक्टली देयर वुड बी सीमेंट प्रोडक्शन. Then it can lead to coastal erosion, as we have just discussed. Changes in the lead-like structure, pollution of rivers, extreme events, they are actually on a rise, and decline of protection against extreme events, floods, droughts and storm surge. Sand ही निकाल ली, what would happen? Infrastructure, they would tend to collapse. You should pay attention that biodiversity would be impacted greatly. Think about those turtles or those ghadials, etc. For them, it is not a commercial business, but their home. Back in 2018, this question was in fact asked. Which of the following is possible consequence of heavy sand mining? Salinity कम होगा, pollution या lowering of water table. We are not discussing this question, but you should know that consequences पे सवाल पूछे जाते हैं. And then there are questions on constituents. तो याद रखिएगा, constituents and consequences. Then Khazan land, it was in news. Now what do you mean by Khazan land? First things first. NGT, it has highlighted failure of authorities to follow environmental rules on construction on Khazan land. Now Khazan land is a coastal wetlands of Goa. And it is a low-lying saline waterlogged area which is influenced by tidal flows. Khazan land याद रखिएगा, Goa से, and then NGT, it has highlighted the failure of authorities. Now these are important because they act as main drainage system for the flood waters. Reclaimed from mangrove forest through an integrated system of dikes, sluice gates and canals. Their uses are in agriculture, aquaculture and salt panning. Why salt panning? Because these are low-lying saline waterlogged areas. Of course, there can be salt panning. I hope this is clear. Thereafter, kelp forest, they were also. Where are kelp forests found? In fact, what are these? जैसे लैंड के ऊपर भी है फॉरेस्ट, सिमिलरली वी हैव फॉरेस्ट इन द waters also. Kelp forests, these are underwater ecosystems formed in shallow water by dense growth of several different species kelps. They are declining because of climate change. Again, this was because of climate change. ये news में था. And you can see this is kelp and it provides nutrient, it provides nurseries for number of marine species. Kelp population at equatorward range edges are particularly vulnerable to climate change, as these locations are undergoing warming at or beyond thermal tolerance thresholds. अभी हमने पढ़ा था ट्रॉपिकलाइजेशन के बारे में. Species they are forced to migrate. Kelp populations, they are also particularly vulnerable. The kelp forests, they provide underwater habitats, hundred of species of invertebrates, fishes, other algae, and have great ecological and economic value. So loss of kelp forest, it would result in biodiversity. Again you can correlate. जो पहला टॉपिक हमने डिस्कस किया, ट्रिपल प्लैनेटरी क्राइसिस, क्लाइमेट चेंज लीडिंग टू बायोडाइवर्सिटी. दिस इज क्लासिक एग्जांपल. नाउ Eclonia radiata. What is this Eclonia radiata? This is the dominant and most widely distributed Amazonian kelp. So basically this is a kelp in the southern hemisphere and it rapidly succumb to warmer temperature. So this is an example. जिसकी हम बात कर रहे थे, इसी का example is Eclonia radiata in the southern hemisphere. I hope this is clear. Thereafter, ecocide. What do you mean by ecocide? Why this is in news? So, Belgium, it is often known as the cockpit of Europe because the largest number of European battles have taken place in Belgium. और Brussels is the capital, जहाँ पे आपको headquarters मिलेगा EU का. But हम बात करते हैं ecocide की. तो Belgium is again making history by becoming the first country in the world, first country in the European continent to recognize ecocide as a national as well as international crime. But sir, what is ecocide? Ecocide is basically a form of environmental crime. Broadly speaking, ecocide means killing or destroying or damaging or mass damaging our environment and ecosystem. और अगर आप टेक्निकल लीगल डेफिनेशन देखेंगे तो would find ecocide means unlawful or wanton acts committed with knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damage to environment being caused by those acts. आसान भाषा में ecocide can be broadly understood as mass damage and destruction of our ecosystem, and this would have severe impacts on the biodiversity, on human well-being as well as on the ecosystem themselves. And the activities which promote such destruction are ocean damage. और ocean damage कैसे? Overfishing से, over extraction से, deep sea mining से, oil spill से, या फिर deforestation से, right? All of these are what leading to damage of our environment and ecosystem. Consider oil pollution or consider chemical plastic pollution, air, water, land contamination. Sabhi ecocide. Please remember this. And Ukraine, Russia, Vietnam, वहाँ पे already what they have criminalized ecocide. And if we talk about our own country, while some of the Indian courts they have referenced this term ecocide in several judgments, but you should remember that the concept has not been formally incorporated into our Indian laws. कल को क्वेश्चन क्या आ सकता है? Ecocide is recognized as an environmental crime as per Environmental Protection Act 1986. So that statement would be obviously wrong, क्योंकि इंडिया में अभी तक formally this has not been incorporated into our Indian laws. Hope this is clear. Concept of ecocide. You should also be aware about the location part. We have discussed Brussels, the capital and headquarters of. And talking about urban forestry and urban greening in drylands. Direct question, who releases this particular? Talking about urban forestry, Miyawaki technique, you must have solved that question. And urban greening in drylands, that is released by FAO of United Nations. Remember this? And is the headquarters of FAO in Rome, Italy? Please comment down. Is the headquarters in Rome, Italy? Is this or is this false? So the focus is to improve resilience of dryland cities by tackling climate change, health, food and economic challenges. And it was seen, sorry, the program it contributes to FAO's Green Cities Initiative. ये भी क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. Green Cities Initiative is taken by, so this is FAO's initiative and it was launched back in 2020 so as to improve the livelihoods and well-beings of urban, peri-urban populations in at least 100 cities around the world in the next 3 years. Green Cities Initiative, FAO का है. This particular report is again released by FAO and it was found that around 35% of world's largest cities, which include that of New Delhi, for example, Cairo, etc., they are built in world's dryland. Dryland में बहुत बड़ी population if it is there. Obviously, there would be socio-economic problems. Obviously, there would be environmental challenges. Now we are seeing that city of Bengaluru, it is facing water shortages or crisis. So I hope this is clear. So this is about today's session. I hope you have found this session useful. But more importantly, you should focus on those areas which are asked by UPSC. क्योंकि पढ़ने का कोई अंत नहीं है. Always stay focused, stay disciplined, keep studying and more importantly, keep practicing. Have a good time.